guys, I'm Valerie Saxon. Welcome to Alternative Health. And I know you're used to tuning in to hear about cleansing or about, how to boost your immune and all these different things that I've talked about over the years. And that's all good and great. But today I've got a surprise for you that I am really, really excited about. And that is I have Pastor Dana Coverstone, and I am in Burkesville, Kentucky, right here in his church, Living Word Church. Pastor Dana, thank you for allowing us this time. And you've had some pretty intense, moving dreams that somebody sent to me actually a few weeks ago. I think it was pretty quick after you actually posted them, that you actually put them up where people could view. And I was actually very, very moved, because these are things, and I know you've heard this before, but things that were already on my heart, things that I felt like the Lord had already spoken to me about, and other people that I know that they were also getting the same message. So when and I think I actually said this to you. I said, when I saw him, I went, oh man, there's somebody with chutzpah. And if you don't know what that means, that's Yiddish for gall, for, like he's got guts. Boy, he just put it out there. And I love that, because so many times we're afraid of stepping on toes, right? And, sometimes toes need to be stepped on. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. So we're going to do some toe stepping today. So with that being said, if you have not seen Pastor Dana's videos on his dreams, please tune in, take notes. We are going to be making the dreams available where people can get the information, get the notes. But I want you to listen intently. And take notes if possible. So anyway, with that being said, Pastor Dana, please start with your first dream from December, right, of last year.
Yeah. I'll just first of all say I'm a pastor from Brooksville, Kentucky. I've been a pastor for 29 years in the Assemblies of God Movement Fellowship. I pastor a church of about 80 people. And since the dreams came out, we've gone from 230 views a week on Facebook to it's over 11,000 now.
Wow.
So I'm at the place where, I'll never be able to say anything again publicly or from the pulpit without scrutiny or critical, analysis. But I shared these dreams as a pastor. Back in December, I had a dream. It was on December 16th, a Monday night, and it woke me up alarmed. I'm referring to my notes on the dreams as well. I saw a calendar, and I saw the month of January. And I saw it flip to February, then it flipped to March. And when it flipped to March, I saw a finger appear, and it underlined the month of March. And then it flipped to April, May, June, and the finger came out again and underlined June. Immediately in my dream, and what I was seeing was, I saw people wearing masks, I saw people coughing, having trouble breathing, I saw respirators, and I saw ventilators. I saw doctors that just seemed overworked. I saw lines of people waiting to get into hospitals. And then I saw empty streets. I saw empty landscapes. I saw buildings that were just quiet. And then I saw headlines with the words pandemic. Specifically, I saw the word pandemic hits the United States. Pandemic hits America. The word pandemic was all over it. Then I saw reporters that were informing the public that it was spreading all over the world. It was killing people. A number of deaths was increasing. And then I saw state houses, state capitals, courthouses. They were surrounded by protesters. I saw people marching. I saw people with fists in the air. And then I saw buildings on fire. I saw looting. I saw plundering. I saw chaos everywhere in the streets. And I saw people hiding in their homes, like looking out the window, the curtain, in fear of what was going on out there. And you could hear noise and things in the street. And then I saw vultures, and they were flying over major cities in America, from the west coast to the east coast, north to south. And all the cities were just covered in darkness. There was lightning, there was thunder, obvious storms, just darkness. And then a white figure appears, no face, and it wasn't like a person. It was almost like those that ever watched The Lord of the Rings, like a ring wraith type figure, just ethereal, but it was white. And it approached me and it said, brace yourself, brace yourself, brace yourself. And I woke up. And I've been a Christian since I was 15. I've been preaching since I was 16. Been in ministry full time for almost 30 years now. God uses me in the word of wisdom, word of knowledge, discernment. So I've prayed enough and pastored enough. I know what the Lord's voice is when I hear it. And I woke up that night with just this incredible concern that I've seen something. And every Tuesday night in this very room, our secret place prayer room, I pray with a group of guys, anywhere between 4 and 6 or 7. And I talk to guys that I'm accountable to online. And I shared the dream with them. I said, guys, I saw these things. I think between March and June, we're going to see some hard times in America, some sicknesses coming, some illness, but I saw chaos. And so I shared with those guys that night. I've even put a video on Facebook of a couple of them, basically saying, yes, we heard him say this when we talked about it.
I did see that, by the way, and saw them give testimony to, yes, Pastor Dana did tell us about this dream in December, and so, yeah, absolutely.
So I shared the dream with those guys, and then just kind of put it on the back burner. But I kept hearing those words: brace yourself, brace yourself, brace yourself. And what I was seeing was the cultural things in our cities. I saw sickness, I saw pandemic, I saw illness, I saw chaos, I saw riots, and I saw looting. So those things alarmed me. So I just told the guys about it. We prayed about it and went on. And middle of February, we started hearing the word pandemic, and from World Health and from the nations around the world. Italy especially was having issues. So March hits and lockdowns start, and people are getting sick, and you're hearing about ventilators and respirators. So the guys that I pray with in this room were now coming to me and saying, are you watching the news? Are you seeing these things? What's going on? Are you realizing the things you saw are beginning to happen? We get through April, May, into May, everything happens in Minneapolis, and boom, there's riots, there's looting, there's buildings being burned. They're coming back and they're saying, Pastor, are you watching this? Are you seeing this? You said between March and June. And I'm not a prophet. There's a shifting in my ministry right now, what God's doing, but I'm called to be a pastor. And
I just want to interject, because I know, I've heard some of the other videos that are commenting on your video, but can't we all, we may not be in the office of a pastor or prophet, but can't we move in those different gifts at different times?
1 Corinthians 14, tells us to seek the greater gifts, one of which is prophecy primarily. And God does use me in word of wisdom, word of knowledge, from time to time, discernment. And I've given prophetic words, just never on this level. But anyway, we're there at the end of June. We're seeing all these crazy things happen, and those other cities are starting to join in. And I'm realizing I've seen something that impacted, and I still didn't really know what to do with it. And then I had the second dream.
Okay, hang on. Okay, if everybody's like me, after I first heard this part of your first video, then you had me on the edge of my seat, because it's like, okay, this man has absolutely been used by God and has heard exactly what's been played out. So with that in mind, I want everybody to hang on. Of course, get your notepads if you don't have them out already. We're going to take a very quick break, and we're going to be right back and hear more from Pastor Dana. Are you prepared for the next few months? Do you have extra food and water? Are you boosting your immune and taking care of your temple? If you're not prepared, you need to get prepared. Remember, an ounce of prevention is worth way more than a pound of cure. Pastor Dana Coverstone, Kevin Zadai, John Paul Jackson, and many others have prophesied about the days to come. Don't wait until there's another shortage. Get ready now. Boost your body with my emergency supplement kit. Distill your water and store it now. Get our Heat and Eat kosher emergency meals. And a must is our colloidal silver generator, so you can make colloidal silver right at home. Everything is on sale now. We want you ready. And please get Pastor Dana's CDs and notes so you can get every detail and pass it on to others. It's a great witnessing tool. Give us a call at 800-493-1146 or visit us on the web at valeriesaxon.com. Get ready now. All right, we're back with Pastor Dana, and we're going to hear more about his dreams and find out what else the Lord said to him through his dreams so we can be prepared and we can be praying over what our part is. So, Pastor Dana, lay it on us.
So May had ended, we're into June. We were watching the chaos happen around the nation. And on Monday night, June 22nd, 2020, I had another dream, followed along the same lines. And it started showing a calendar with June, July, August, September. When it hit September, I saw the finger appear again. It underlined the month of September. And then it rolled to October and November. When it got to November, things changed. I saw the hand again. I saw the index finger underline November, but then it balled into a fist. And it hit the calendar on the wall just as hard as it could. And when it hit, it was almost like the calendar went into the wall. The numbers flew off. It was just an amount of chaos was happening with it. Went back clear into the wall. Like I said, the numbers flew off. Very destructive act. And I'm watching all of this, and suddenly I'm back watching crowds. I saw lines of people waiting to get in the hospitals. Only these were like lines that were blocks long, blocks and blocks long. I saw people holding each other up in line to get to the hospitals. I saw people wearing masks again, and the masks were prominent in the other dream. But this time I see people that are actually carrying portable oxygen tanks as they're going into the hospitals. And I saw headlines that stated that the people were dying at incredible rates, far worse than the previous, the COVID rates. The people that I saw were very thin. They were very unhealthy, and it was clear that something worse than COVID was here, or it was a huge, worse, more miserable strain of it. Either a different strain or something exponentially worse was going on, and the physical damage that was reaping on people, it was abysmal, because people could hardly stand, they could hardly walk. And then I saw the protesters again. I saw yelling, I saw screaming, I saw violence. It was 100 times worse than the first dream that I'd had. I saw violence in the streets. I saw cars being burned. I saw properties being burned. I saw homes being burned where people lived. And people were yelling and screaming in unison. They were marching. But they were all doing it with a very, very ill-willed intent. These people were out for blood. These people were out to just, it wasn't peaceful. None of it was peaceful. It was just all crazy and chaotic. Then I saw those vultures again. And the vultures were closer. They weren't flying high above the cities. They were like 10 or 12 feet off the ground. And they were more like gargoyles. They had sharp teeth, the claws. They were actually attacking people as they were just walking around. And then I saw explosions from out west to the north to the east coast. I knew in my spirit they weren't nuclear. I felt that in my spirit. But I was watching some type of assault on these cities. And then I also saw, and this has nothing to do in the context of what we're seeing with defunding the police, but I saw law enforcement officers around the nation kneeling on the ground, but they were surrendering their full authority. It was almost as if they were saying, here's my badge, here's my gun. We're not going to try to take care of anything. And that was the essence that I was seeing. I did not see protesters around these police officers. I just saw police officers surrendering their authority.
So, and I just want to, for my own clarity too, so were they basically quitting? Were they just like, we give up, or?
It was a surrender. And that's what I saw. What I saw was the attitude of, what can we do? We quit. And the word surrender was what I had in my spirit and still have in my spirit today. I want to be very careful not to interpret too much from what I just want to state what I saw in those dreams. Because there's a lot of confusion or a lot of different ideas out there. But I've had people call and say, hey, well, this means this and this means that. I know what I sensed in my spirit was the urgency of it. The next thing I saw was I was taken to Washington, D.C., and I was in the National Mall, and I'm seeing the Washington Memorial, the Lincoln Memorial, and everything is covered like in dust and soot, ash almost, which could be indicative of explosions or things like that. But they weren't damaged. The memorials were not damaged, but they were dirty, almost like I spent some time in Eastern Europe in 1990, and the pollution from the decades before during the Cold War, everything was just grimy, gray, and just the skies were just dark, full of pollution. That was the type of atmosphere that I saw there. And then I saw the White House. And the White House was a dingy, dark gray. It wasn't white. It was just dark and dingy gray, like something had covered like ash. The curtains of the Oval Office were closed. and I saw no activity on the ground. So basically, I'm looking at a White House that's empty. And a lot of folks have asked me about that. What I saw was a leaderless Washington, D.C. There was nobody in charge. There was nobody in authority, and the White House was abandoned. And that's the place that that houses and encapsulates the leader of our country. There's a lot of speculation about that as well. But then I saw a large room with windows. I could see outside, and outside there was chaos, fires, lightning strikes, explosions, those sort of things. And in this room, I saw a bunch of senators, senators whose names I recognized and knew. And not trying to be political about it, I saw senators. And on a long table, they were sitting around. It was piled with briefcases, and briefcases were kind of like a 70s and 80s thing. I started college in '87, had a briefcase.
Yeah.
In '91, I graduated, and I had the briefcase I had a backpack then. So there was a shift. But these guys are talking, they're looking at their watches, and they're calm. Everybody outside is yelling and screaming and running. These guys are just looking at their watches, and they're going through papers, and just very, very calm. And finally, a former senator stands up, opens a briefcase, and hands out these file folders to the guys. And they look at them and make some comments, and pat each other on the back, and just kind of snide remarks about the idea I saw was what's going on out there doesn't affect us, doesn't influence us at all. And they all took the folders, put them in their briefcases, grabbed them, and walked out the door without any fear, just like they were walking out in absolute chaos. So those things that got me very, very much. And then I saw banks, and I saw the roof like it was tilted off of the banks, and I saw money I saw bags of money. I saw bills, the stacks of bills. I just saw money, currency that was just going out the roof like into a vacuum cleaner. And there was a transfer of wealth that I was seeing, that I sensed in my spirit. So there were things going on, but the people I was watching and looking at, they were in shambles. They were dirty, wearing dirty clothes, broken down, homes broken down, vehicles. Poverty was just abounding during this time. And then that's when I saw the Chinese and the Russian troops. They were not rounding up people. I saw people who were gathered together, not necessarily rounded up. But I know what Russian sounds like. I know what Chinese. The identity of the Chinese officials were there, and also the blue helmets. But the Russian soldiers were saying, and they were soldiers, they were saying, go to this quadrant, go to this region, and take care of these things here, get these things taken care of. I saw military transport. And real quick, I'll add this. Someone last week called me who is in this country, lives in North Carolina, but is from Uganda. And he said, Pastor, I'm calling you. I paid to get your cell phone number because I have seen UN vehicles on military transport in North Carolina. And I know that because I was there when these people would come pick up refugees and people. He says, I called you. So I thought, here's a guy from Uganda who lives in North Carolina calling me to say, the things you saw in your dreams, I've seen those vehicles, and they're here. So, and that's not an advertisement for anything, but the guy saw these things and called me.
Right. Hey, Pastor, we're going to take a quick break because I do have a couple of comments on this that we had kind of talked about, but we're going to take a very quick break. We're going to be right back because there's a whole lot more. So stay with us. There's more to come. Are you prepared for the next few months? Do you have extra food and water? Are you boosting your immune and taking care of your temple? If you're not prepared, you need to get prepared. Remember, an ounce of prevention is worth way more than a pound of cure. Pastor Dana Coverstone, Kevin Zadai, John Paul Jackson, and many others have prophesied about the days to come. Don't wait until there's another shortage. Get ready now. Boost your body with my emergency supplement kit. Distill your water and store it now. Get our Heat and Eat kosher emergency meals. And a must is our colloidal silver generator, so you can make colloidal silver right at home. Everything is on sale now. We want you ready. And please get Pastor Dana's CDs and notes so you can get every detail and pass it on to others. It's a great witnessing tool. Give us a call at 800-493-1146 or visit us on the web at valeriesaxon.com. Get ready now. Hey guys, we're back with Pastor Dana, and I just want to jump in real quick because when I first saw the first video, it was quite interesting because I saw it and I watched the whole thing, but I was also like in a busy season in the middle of multiple things, as usual, mother of 8 and almost 13 grandbabies now. I mean, so, just always going 100 miles an hour, but I watched the whole thing. I totally, really concurred with these things because I have sensed and felt these types of things coming for a very long time. But then a couple days later, just kind of out of the blue, it was late at night, lights were off, and just kind of pondering, what you had said, and felt like the Holy Spirit told me to go to a specific website that I've looked up news going on from around the world, and so I just kind of randomly went there, and I mean, right off the bat, like the first article was about some of the things that you have talked about. And it was just like the Lord confirming. And one of the things was that Customs had caught almost 11,000 pieces of Chinese. Now, you correct me if I'm wrong, but it had to do with weapons, and these were pieces to the weapons, and they were, as I recall, caught in Jacksonville, Florida, and they were being shipped to a home in Florida. So close to 11,000 pieces, and they were labeled something else. They certainly weren't labeled by the Chinese as weapon parts, and then I actually confirmed with a couple of people that I know that have information and said, what do you think about Russian soldiers on our soil? And they were like, well, yeah, they're here all the time. And that some were already currently training in Colorado. Almost, it was kind of downplayed, but almost like an exchange student situation. And then a lot of people don't know, and I'm just going to throw this out there, and I think that we had already discussed this before, but most of our national parks are not even owned by the United States anymore. They are owned by the UN, thanks to former president, that they were signed over to the UN. So people think, oh yeah, we own everything, all the land, but it's not accurate. So the UN is already here, and obviously the Chinese are bringing parts in, and we know that there are Russian soldiers. So what you're saying might sound shocking to people, but the scripture, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. When you start looking at it, it's here. It's everything that you're saying. There's documentation to back it. So I just want to say that is like the Lord just like brought to me and reminded me, like, hey, these things are already happening. It's already in the mix, so to speak. And with that, I'm going to be quiet because we want to hear the rest. So,
after seeing those things, I saw explosions. I saw larger protests. I saw people that were just flat out angry, mad beyond description. And at that moment, that white figure appeared again and said the same thing, but he added something: brace yourself, brace yourself, brace yourself, and endure until the end. And that word endure is a very, very common New Testament word that Peter, Paul, James, those disciples use those words, and I felt the context of it was what I was seeing. When I woke up from that dream, my heart rate, according to my Fitbit, was like 182. I had this urgency. I've got to do something with this. So I got up and I prayed, and I thought about, I made some notes. I thought about shooting video, and then I thought, the first dream I had, I've seen those things come true. These men can confirm it. So I said, okay, that was Monday night. Tonight's Tuesday. I'll pray with the guys here. I shared the dream with those guys that night, and I said, okay, guys, tell me what to do with this. How do I saw these things, I told you guys, and now I'm seeing these things, what I do. And so the precedent was you need to put this out there. So that night was also my daughter's 23rd birthday, and so went to sleep, and that's when I had the dream about the coin shortage. And I really think a lot of folks caught on to that one first, and then came back and said, hey, this happened, so look at the other ones. And that basically, I went to a local bank, and the president of the bank was the teller that day, and there was a sign on the door, and it said, no coins, no change. There's a coin shortage, And so I went in and asked for $10 in quarters for a yard sale, in the dream. And the bank teller, the president, she said, well, I'm sorry, we no longer have change. The mint's not printing anymore. There's a coin shortage. And I was like, well, how am I going to charge $1.50 for something? And she said, well, hyperinflation is coming. I have to do $2. And hyperinflation is coming. And, oh, by the way, ones and fives are going to follow. And I woke up and I thought, okay, is this a piece of that? I felt the unction it was. And so that next morning I got up and I didn't have notes. I just remembered the dreams and I just put that video out there, 15 minutes and 9 seconds. And I did it as a pastor who I saw great loss coming. I did not see persecution coming. Those dreams came later. But I saw incredible things happening in this country. To our capital with leadership in Washington, D.C. I believe I was seeing some type of treachery, some type of, who knows if it was a coup attempt or what. But I saw chaos in the country. It was worse than the first dream that I had. And so I, as a pastor, I shared this with 1,100 friends on Facebook. And I just put it out there because I thought, it's a 15-minute video. Who's going to watch it? Maybe 10%. So if 10% do, that's 110 people, I'd never expected that. I put it out there as a pastor with a concern. I saw things happening, things coming. And then once again, like I said, I think people saw the change shortage part of it, and they were like, hey, there's something to this.
Are you prepared for the next few months? Do you have extra food and water? Are you boosting your immune and taking care of your temple? If you're not prepared, you need to get prepared. Remember, an ounce of prevention is worth way more than a pound of cure. Pastor Dana Coverstone, Kevin Zadai, John Paul Jackson, and many others have prophesied about the days to come. Don't wait until there's another shortage. Get ready now. Boost your body with my emergency supplement kit. Distill your water and store it now. Get our Heat and Eat kosher emergency meals. And a must is our colloidal silver generator, so you can make colloidal silver right at home. Everything is on sale now. We want you ready. And please get Pastor Dana's CDs and notes so you can get every detail and pass it on to others. It's a great witnessing tool. Give us a call at 800-493-1146 or visit us on the web at valeriesaxon.com. Get ready now.
Thanks for watching Alternative Health with Valerie Saxon. The information in this program is designed to bring you the latest in alternative health. Valerie's mission is to educate and encourage you to strive for and obtain a healthy body, soul, and spirit. From there, your purpose and calling can be achieved as God intended it to be.